to these facts for a very long time, and we know who stands where. If you look at it under the pretext of Daesh, Afrin has been included into this terrorism corridor, and with Daesh fighters, they have actually waged war against Turkey, against our country. The separatist organization is making calls to Daesh fighters. They have actually liberated them because they want them to fight against us. And these terrorists are not really different than one another. PYD, YPG, Daesh, I personally believe that they are all the same. DHKPC as well. I believe that these terrorist organizations are all the same. They are all terrorists. And that's what they do. Daesh, PYD, YPG, they are the same sides of the same coin, and they have assumed different roles within the same script, and they serve the same purpose. Both of these terrorist organizations are actually orchestrated by some quarters, and when it suits their needs, they deploy these terrorist organizations in the ground. Look at what happened in Raqqa. Daesh fighters, they were taken outside the city with trucks, and they were distributed to other areas in the region. And some of these people, some of these terrorists are on hold for future attacks on Turkey, and we have the intelligence that this is the case. The operation that we are carrying out towards Afrin is actually done to eradicate some of this reserve. And thanks to God's blessings, and thanks to the support of our nation, and thanks to the bravery of our soldiers, we are going to keep Daesh at bay. But the same thing cannot be said of the countries who have been using Daesh against us for a very long time. These countries, up until yesterday, they did not even extradite the terrorists or control the terrorists whom we informed them about, and they suffered bloody attacks perpetrated by these terrorists that we warned them against. And now we are faced with even more vicious terrorists, and we will see what will they do once they are faced with their attacks. Our friendly nation, Germany, are passengers from Germany to Turkey. They come back from Germany to Turkey, and there the PKK terrorist organization actually take our brothers at the airport, and they start kicking them, beating them with sticks, with other implements. And then the German law enforcement officers just turn a blind eye to what is happening. And so this is totally unacceptable, because the airports are supposed to be the safest places for people, and this takes place at an airport, mind you, and no one really intervenes. Up until when? How is this going to play out in the end? When we say these things to them, they say to us, no, that's not correct, this didn't really take place. But are we supposed to turn a blind eye to what's going on? We accepted these things for quite some time. They always tell us that there is the judiciary, there is the rule of law, but what sort of a judiciary system is this? What sort of a rule of law is this? The passengers have no safety at an airport at the heart of Europe. So what kind of a state is this? One needs to ask. If something of the same sort were to happen in Turkey, they would start protesting immediately. But these are the hard facts, hard truths that we need to voice, and no one should take offense because we do that. At Kobane, especially people fleeing Al-Arab, and who fled into Turkey, hundreds of thousands of brothers and sisters. Despite the fact that Daesh is no longer there, they're not going back to their countries. They still live in Turkey. And you know the reason why? The reason is because, yes, on the face of things, perhaps Daesh is no longer there, but another terrorist organization has taken hold there. Hundreds of thousands of people still fear for their lives, for their future. They're not sure about their future, and that's why they do not go back. That's why they still continue to wait in Turkey. If, as some people allege, as some people try to portray, if this terrorist organization does not inspire trust in these people, then I would say that their true colors have actually been revealed. Dear brothers, these people are barbaric in nature, these people are murderers, these people are thieves. These people have set their eyes on the modesty of the people. And we're now talking about a postmodern crusade, and these are the new co-conspirators of that crusade. The separatist terrorist organization in Syria, once they take hold and grab power, they actually kill tens of thousands of people from different denominations. And these people are actually bombed by their backers and massacred by their backers. Everyone who opposes them are portrayed as Daesh militants, and their coordinates are revealed, and subsequently they're murdered. These people cannot have good intentions for Syria, for our region. Tens of thousands of children, women, elderly, innocent people. These people have their blood on their hands, and these people cannot be supporting the Kurdish people. They cannot be socialists. They cannot be human to begin with. Dear brothers, actually what we are doing in Afrin is actually we are trying to eradicate a mentality that is at war with the humanity at large, and everyone is going to appreciate this when the time comes. Civilians are under fire, and their evacuation is impeded. Women, children, the elderly are used as life shields, and they have been digging up holes to trap our soldiers. And during the Shield of Euphrates operation, we fought against them as well. These are kids, we're talking about kids here that are given weapons, old women are given weapons, and their pictures are taken and used as propaganda. And this is what this terrorist organization is doing, and we are trying to topple them. That's what we're doing in Afrin. In the name of human rights in the world, in the name of liberties, in the name of freedom, there are so many NGOs, so many states, and they need to support Turkey in this endeavor. This Operation Olive Branch, olive in our culture is a holy tree, and God swears on the olive tree in the surah from the Quran, and that's why it's so important for us. And olive is also the harbinger of freedom and liberties, is an epitome of freedom, and that's why we named our operation Olive Branch, because we wanted to put this region in order, and we wanted to embrace everyone, and we wanted this to be a step towards freedom, a step towards liberty. And this is how seriously we take this. Counterterrorism and human rights are important values, but some quarters are abusing these values, and they try to manipulate them to their own advantage. Turkey, thanks to her policies, is not just protecting its own boundaries. This is not just about protecting our own boundaries and protecting our brothers and sisters in the region. We are actually defending the honor of the entire humanity. because when you look at the most ancient habitations in the world, they were destroyed by these terrorist organizations, and there is no one else to say stop to this trend except for us. And we find it very sad that no one else is raising their voices as strongly as we are. With Operation Olive Branch, what we are trying to do is we are trying to frustrate the plans of those who are trying to wreak havoc in the region. We have actually truly frustrated their plans, and inshallah, God willing, starting with Mumbai, we are going to frustrate all these plans all across the border, and we are going to eradicate the region, eradicate this terrorist organization in the region. Now, President Obama, during his term, we had another initiative. And in that initiative, Olive Orchard, President Obama sadly betrayed us, because that operation was about cleaning Mumbai of terrorists, but he didn't deliver on his promise. President Obama, repeatedly I talked to him, and despite our meetings, we did what we were supposed to do, but sadly they did not fulfill their responsibilities. And they made a promise to us. They said to us, these terrorists here, we are going to kick them to the east of Euphrates and leave Mumbai to the rightful owners of the city, because by 95% it is an Arab city and there are no Kurds in Mumbai. But they didn't deliver on this promise because they had other plans, because they, in a way, they wanted to create a new terrorist state or terrorist haven in that region. But what were they calling this? The Kurdish state. But there are no Kurds in the region. By 95%, these people are Arabs. So you kick these people off the city and you bring terrorist organization members into the city. They did the same thing in Kobani, because similarly it was called Al-Arab. As the name suggests, it was an Arab city. The rightful owner of the city were kicked outside the city, and it was populated by terrorists in the end. And when you say these things, these cold facts, some people actually take offense. But we are going to keep on saying what is right, and we are never going to take a step back. Dear brothers, of course, as we take these steps decisively, as we continue on this path, we know, we are aware that there's a price to every struggle, and we will see this once again. Since 2015, July of 2015, we have lost 1,000 lives in our fight against terrorism. Dear brothers, during the Shield of Euphrates operation, we lost 22 soldiers. And in the Olive Branch operation, we have some martyrs as well. We have some veterans too. But I would like to indicate here that together with the Free Syrian Army, we have 7 or 8 martyrs, but on the other side, there are 268 casualties, and that needs to be said as well. We remain committed, and this process will continue. We are going to eradicate these terrorists. Either they're going to leave, or there is no other option. We are not in this for the lands. We are here for the justice to prevail in the region. We want 3.5 million Syrian brothers and sisters to be able to go back to their homeland one day. We are not carrying out this operation because we have a stake in these territories. El Rai, Bab, Jarablus, in these regions, around 100,000 people have actually been repatriated, and hopefully around Afrin, Munbij, and Idlib, hopefully the rightful owners of these territories will be repatriated. Of course, we would wish that no one gets injured during these operations. But when there's a battle, when there's an armed conflict, when terrorism knows no bounds, no principles, losses might be unavoidable. But thankfully, our troops, our police officers, and our brothers in the Free Syrian Army, above all, they see martyrdom as the most glorious thing in life. So they actually move towards death fearlessly, because God tells us that our lives can be sacrificed for the hereafter, because what is to come for us is better than what we have here. That's why, with this belief, martyrs have the holiest reward, which is granted by the Prophet, as our poet Mehmet Akif said. And when that is the case, you have inner strength, you have faith, and because of your faith, you become fearless. Death fears you. You do no longer fear death. Our soldiers there are Mehmet's on the front, share the sentiment. This morning, actually, with our soldiers, there were some interviews that were published, and here's what they say. They say, we are going to celebrate, to a wedding celebration in Afrin. That is what they said. Thanks be to God. Having this belief is no small feat, is not something that everyone can pull off. But our soldiers, this is how they were raised, and this is what they believe in. Now, taking this opportunity, I would like to call out to everyone who participated in the Operation Olive Branch and previous operations, and all our martyrs in the previous days. I wish them condolences to their families, and I wish health and welfare to our veterans. And I also wish every success to our troops who are carrying out the Operation Olive Branch. May God protect them and make them triumphant. And Al-Fatiha for our martyrs, for our fallen soldiers. Dear brothers, we are going through difficult times, but these difficult times are a good opportunity for us to appreciate what it means to be a nation, from the east all the way to the west, from the north to the south. In 81 provinces, 80 million people are supporting Operation Olive Branch. And we have exhibited great unity, great harmony, a great sense of solidarity. And this reminds us the lines of Mehmet Akif once again. Once upon a time, we were a nation, a spectacular nation, born as a nation, and taught others what it means to be a nation. When every other place was dark, we were a source of light from the breast of the nation. And for us, this was a duty. This is what we work towards. When security prevails, you get your just desserts. Not just once upon a time. Even now, even today, we are exhibiting the fact that we are a nation, a model nation for the world over. And we are thrilled that we can exhibit this spirit. those who support Turkey's national policy, all our citizens, all our political parties, all the NGOs, thanks to their prayers, we would like to offer them our gratitude. A century ago, our country was actually at the brink of an abyss. Because it was being divided by foreign powers. But we had the War of Independence to overcome these difficulties. During the Republic, they didn't leave us alone through sectarianism, through ideologies, through different ethnicities, or social political fault lines were always manipulated by some powers. And they caused us to engage in bickering, but luckily, in the last 15 years, things have changed. Thanks to many initiatives, many different services, our national unity and harmony has been strengthened. 15th of July was actually the pinnacle of this spirit. Against the PKK, we exhibited great unity, and against FETÖ, the Gülenist terrorist organization, we acted as one nation, as one heart. And that's how we were able to weather the storm. And now, today, any struggle that Turkey engages in will be backed by the nation, with their hearts, with their fists, with their decisiveness. A big nation, a great nation, will be supporting us.
Allah razı olsun. Cümlemize inşallah. Sağ olun. Sağ olun. Sağ olun. Sağ olun.
Oh, no, nobody told me. We've been listening to President Recep Tayyip Erdogan speak live there in Ankara regarding Turkey's Operation Olive Branch, currently underway in Syria. He said very clearly Turkey doesn't care about who says what, that he will do what his people want. And that is to make Syria safe. He says Turkey is hosting over 3 million Syrian refugees who want to return home, and Turkey's mission is to help Syria return to normality so that those refugees can go home. I'm joined now back in the studio by Ozan, our TRT world researcher, Ozan Ahmet Cetin, for some further analysis.
Yeah.
He really did cover a lot, but he highlighted particularly Turkey's humanitarian record in Syria. That seemed to be at the heart of what he was saying. And he said he wondered if those who criticize Turkey and the operation underway now, he wonders if they're even aware of Turkey's humanitarian record in the country. So talk us through that. What exactly is this record?
Yeah, I don't think the world powers are fully aware of Turkey's situation in Syria. When it comes to Syria, Turkey is the humanitarian authority, period. Because, you know, Turkey is the power bearing the brunt of the burden when it comes to refugees. It is sheltering them. It is receiving very little help from the rest of the world. And it shelters Arab people, Turkmen people, Kurdish people without differentiating between religions or ethnic positions. And the operation is Afrin. One leg of the operation is security, but the other leg is a humanitarian issue because the PKK's affiliate there, the YPG, has crushed all the opposition, I mean the Kurdish opposition in these regions. And as the president pointed out, although Daesh was defeated and they evacuated those territories, the refugees in Turkey, they are not returning because another terror group, the PKK, has taken hold there.
Yeah, he made it very clear to say this is not just about protecting Turkey's borders. But he did have some very harsh words for Turkey's critics, particularly Germany. What did he have to say there?
Yeah, Germany, I think Turkey is resenting to Germany and some other Western nations because, well, Daesh and the PKK, Turkey does not see the difference between them because They both are killing people, they're oppressing people, authoritarian groups. But Germany is sheltering some prominent PKK members, and they do not extradite them, upon the request of Turkey. And Germany actually lets PKK-affiliated groups finance PKK's operations in Syria by collecting money, squeezing money out of people in Germany. Not Germans, but Kurdish and Turkish immigrants mainly.
If I can just tap into your analysis then, what do you think Turkey really needs to do to convince what are effectively its allies in Europe, even while they criticize, to convince its allies that this is the right thing and that Turkey is interested in winning the hearts and minds, not in just effecting a military operation in its own self-interest?
I think it is not surprising that Turkey is having difficulty explaining itself when it comes to Syria, because, it is all power calculations and realpolitik in Syria. I think people should come to Turkey and visit those shelters where refugees are living and focus on the humanitarian aspect of the issue rather than the solely security. I think that's the key.
Okay. Ozan, we'll leave it there for now. Let's cross live to Ankara, where we can speak to our Turkey political correspondent, Andrew Hopkins. Hi, Andrew. I would like to ask you about some of the more tactical things President Erdogan was addressing there. He said this operation, Olive Branch, will now extend into Manbij, and he reiterated the importance of also clearing that area of terrorists. Tell us more about what he had to say there and what this operation will now incur going forward.
Well, I think if this operation does go into Manbij, as he says, this is going to make things even more complicated in northern Syria. This is something that's very important for Turkey. It wants to clear the YPG from all parts of its border with Syria. It's not just Afrin that the YPG has a presence in. It's not just that area that it controls, but it also controls other areas further to the east, other cantons which it's laid claim to, such as Euphrates and Jazeera. That is something that Turkey wants to look at as well. But if it goes to Manbij, then, as I say, it's going to be more complicated. Manbij is to the east of Afrin. It's to the east of the area that it's sort of reclaimed during Euphrates Shield, when Turkey went in to remove the YPG and Daesh from there. This is the area where the US is saying that it is more actively supporting the YPG. It's in its sort of train and assist mission, where it's been supplying all these weapons and training for the YPG in its fight against Daesh. So although you've got a complicated situation at the moment in Afrin, where you've effectively got the US has been backing the YPG, it's actually also backed the FSA, which is working with Turkey at the moment, and also Russia having given sort of Turkey some kind of tacit approval, it seems, to carry this out. And if you go further to the east in Syria, and if Turkey goes in there, this is going to make this situation even far more complicated.
And it's not just complicated, as we were just discussing, on the military front for Turkey. There's also a PR front here that President Erdogan was talking very clearly about, that he thinks allies who are currently, some of whom are currently, I should say, criticizing Turkey's operation here, don't fully understand Turkey's humanitarian efforts in the region and what Turkey's goals really are, in that they're looking to make Syria a safe place, and that they would like to see the 3.5 million refugees currently living in the country be able to return home.
Yeah, that's right. I think there's been a lot of misunderstanding about what Turkey has been doing in Syria, and with regards to refugees which are in its own borders, 3.5 million of them there at the moment. It has come in for praise from a number of politicians and from the United Nations, but sometimes maybe Turkey feels that message hasn't got through. I think it's also having to fight a bit of a PR battle to get its message through on the YPG and its links to the PKK as well. We've heard from the Dutch foreign minister in the last 24 hours. He was answering questions from the Dutch parliament, and he said there are links between the YPG and the PKK, that the YPG isn't innocent in all of this, and this should not be seen as a Turkish-Kurdish conflict, and that's not the way it's been viewed in the Netherlands. But it looks like that message really that the Dutch foreign minister seems to have got is the Turkish government is struggling to get through to some other people at the moment, other political leaders who are talking about restraint for this operation, concern about humanitarian aid, but they never really get into specifics about the whys and wherefores of this particular operation.
Okay. Andrew Hopkins, we will leave it there for now. Thank you so much for that. Live from Ankara. Let's switch gears now. And before we go, a story from Nigeria where a lack of jobs push many young women to leave the country. Now, often they end up working as prostitutes in Europe. But the southern state of Edo has implemented a plan to keep some of them at home. It's trained and employed 22 women as city bus drivers. Ekpo Glory is one of them. Her advice to unemployed women